first. What's up? Oh shit. Wait. I want to do a video about this. You got to be ready to do off the top, cuz I feel like if I do a video about I went from 50 followers on Instagram to 10,000 in 1 week because I started clipping up the phone calls I have with Trump supporters. And I realized that if I did that for the past year, I'd probably have over 100,000 followers on Instagram, because after 1 week, a couple videos went viral, and this is light work. This is me barely paying attention. And I do these conversations. I'm from a background where I can have these conversations in a better way than most people because I actually understand Trump voters. I'm from 99% white Pennsylvania, so I have those tools that other people don't that do these shows. But I don't have the resources. I can't afford the editor. I can't afford all the fancy equipment. I can't afford the fancy office space. But when I talk to people on these platforms, I really do see a difference, and I open people's minds to other ideas, and you know, getting closer to the truth and a place we can all connect. But it would really help when I get all this following if I can produce higher quality content to have a bigger, broader impact, especially in rural America where Democrats cannot talk whatsoever. So, like, if anyone wants to donate to Droll Out Politics on Venmo or Cash App, you know where to go, Droll Out Politics, or on Coffee. You know, all these different links, and follow my pages on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. You got to be ready for it. And I'm ready, Freddie. You got to do a good pitch like that. I got to get that going. I got to get that going.
Oh,
Hey, this is the YouTube channel calling you back.
oh, okay.
Howdy.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, I'm just Ducky. Yeah, you made a couple statements on there that I'm just curious about. I see by your area code you're near the Mechanicsburg, Harrisburg area down in Pennsylvania, as we like to call it, from us, the great state of New York. You made a comment on there that over 10,000 trucking jobs have been lost. Can you tell me what name company that is? Because I happen to be a Class A All-American 18-wheel truck driver. I'd like to know the name of that company. Because I'm calling baloney on that. The freight industry has been double, triple in the last 2 or 3 years. Under Biden and Trump even, actually. It's grown exponentially. So can you tell me what company has laid off over 10,000 workers?
So when I said drivers, so there's steel mills. There's the one in like Allentown. There's a few in Indiana I saw. There's some in Ohio. Some different companies. I'm not talking about 18 wheelers. I'm not talking about general transport. I'm talking mostly about driver jobs throughout the country that would be helping with like manufacturing plants and their materials. So I don't know if it would really be the same sector, because I'm talking about American manufacturing going down from these policies overall.
You know, American manufacturing went down in the 1990s when the North American Free Trade Act was signed into law by William Jefferson Clinton, which in fact, I'm not, and here's something else that most people hate it when I correct them on it. The North American Free Trade Act was not started by Bill Clinton. It was actually started by his predecessor, George Bush. George Bush actually started it. He would have signed it into law himself if it wasn't for the fact he lost the election. Bill Clinton liked the law. He signed it and finished it up by signing it. But it was actually started by George
I'm ready to give up. If it doesn't work this time, I'm done.
Hello?
Hi, I just reset my stream on my computer and I saw you left a message. This is the YouTube politics thing.
Oh, hey, yeah, I've been listening to you guys for a while. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. My computer's lagging tonight, so I had to reset it, which is annoying, but yeah, it's all right. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So Jola. Okay, so let me talk to you about New York. So are you a supporter of Mandani, or are you just what are your reasons for defending him?
I think compared to Cuomo, he looks like an excellent candidate. I think he's very skilled politically. I don't know if America is ready for his type of politics, but he is a really talented speaker. His biggest drawbacks are probably being Muslim, being not white. Is going to be a big challenge for him. Being more further left. He's further left than I am, but he seems like a pragmatist, so I can work with that.
All right, so you know he's part of the DSA, though. I mean,
Hmm.
the New York DSA faction. I mean, those are Marxists and socialists, and
Well,
uh,
I'll be honest. I know some DSA people. I mean, some DSA are really far left, but some DSA are like barely to the right of Bernie Sanders, and they might just be like, I don't know, they're not that far left. It really depends on what chapter, where it is, and who you talk to. Because even like Zoran Mamdani, he makes the DSA mad. Like a lot of the DSA members get mad at him, and they say he's a sellout to Israel, and he's corrupted by big money because they're so far left. So I mean, there is some variety within that movement.
yeah, but I mean, they're mainly working for him, though. I mean, they've always been, incrementalist factions and then maximalist. I mean, he gave a keynote speech where he said, "Let's seize the means of production." Do you know what the means of production are?
Yeah, so I'd have to hear what industry he was talking about, and what it was referring to. Because I would agree with doing that when it comes to like health insurance, for example.
Okay, so how much do you think? How much of the economy do you think should be run by the government? Do you think Walmart should be run by McDonald's, the oil companies, health, or just healthcare? Or how much of the government do you think? How much of the economy should be run by the government?
I'd say for something like prisons, that should not be private. I'd say for health insurance, that should not be. I mean, there should be private options, but it should be heavily regulated by government for healthcare. And things like housing, you need government to be involved in when they're necessities for life. They're inelastic markets. Things like electricity, um, uh, the internet should probably be regulated by the government. Now, to what extent? I'm open for discussion on that. So, like for healthcare, there's a whole range of different policies I'd be okay with. But yeah.
Okay, but you know that, I mean, when you're talking about Marxism, I mean, or socialism, I mean, seizing the means of production, that's talking about, nationalization, government ownership of these businesses rather than just, I hear you mentioning government spending, regulation, like the old, TYT, like, well, that socialism means spending money on firefighters. Is that what you're talking about? Or do you, I think he's going a little bit. I think the Marxists and the DSA are talking about a little bit more when they. I mean, he's the keynote speaker, and he's a member. He's a member of the organization. So when he's saying let's seize the means of production, so uh, do you support any government ownership of these businesses, or are you just saying oh we should have more government spending, we should have more government regulation? Anybody? I mean that's just capitalism. That's you know.
Yeah, I mean, he has said he's open to encouraging more private housing construction, removing barriers for private housing to be constructed, which is something he's willing to do in negotiations. So like I'm not saying I'm as far left as he is, but I support like when Trump says, for example, we should be denaturalizing and deporting his political opponents and using the military to put Obama in jail. I think that's a far bigger threat than Mamdani saying.
When
What?
did he say that? When specifically? When did the president say he was going to deport, use the military to deport a specific political opponent?
Well, right now, Republicans in Congress, like Ogles on the Republican side, are literally
Right,
pushing for the
but that's not the
DOJ to
president.
denaturalize Mamdani.
Yes,
Trump has
yeah,
also
yeah,
called for
I
him to
know.
be deported on Truth Social and in media interviews multiple times.
Okay, but he hasn't directed the military to do that, though, right?
When there are sitting Republican congressmen on the order of the president drafting proposals to try and go after this person to denaturalize them, this seems like an issue.
Okay, and I would necessarily support that, but I think it's interesting that you think that he's a pragmatist. I mean, he's been very reluctant. I mean, yeah, there's been some cases where he's said, "Oh yeah, I denounce Israel and Hamas," kind of the standard thing. But he's been kind of reluctant to be very forceful against them when they asked him, "Well, you want them to disarm?" He's like, "Well, I want both sides to, stop firing their weapons." You know what I mean? And I mean, he's been running as a Muslim identity politics type of candidate in New York City. When he met with he's campaigning. He campaigned with the Wahaj, this an unindicted co-conspirator of the '93 terrorist attack, who was a character witness for the Blind Sheikh, which of course led to the next 9/11 attack in 2001. So he clearly accepts the support of Islamists and communists. So, and he's a card-carrying member of the DSA. So he's part of an organization that's obviously committed to socialism. He said, "I want to seize the means of production," which is a communist goal. In other words, if you don't support actual communism or government ownership of the means of production, do you think he's just lying, or do you think
Do you think, I mean,
I think he's just an incrementalist. He's saying, like, hey, I mean, it'd be like, would you support a neo-Nazi as
well,
mayor?
Trump would
You know what
be
I mean?
that example. Trump would be, by your standard for Mamdani, Trump is a literal Nazi, by your standard.
How so?
He's quoted Hitler multiple times. Immigrants poison the blood of America. He tells us how Haitian immigrants are savages who eat cats and dogs. The same imagery that was used against like black people during Jim Crow and slavery, imagery that Jewish people were portrayed as in Nazi Germany, being the savage animals that can't have human rights. Like he has Stephen Miller as his main person to run the White House, basically, he's a known white supremacist. He said he wants generals that are similar to Hitler's because they're so loyal. By all account, and he wants to denaturalize and deport his political opponents and use the military, against American citizens he doesn't like. He's done many more things in government and through rhetoric than Mamdani has done for him to deserve Nazi than Mamdani does to deserve communist. And let's just say, like, if Mamdani is further left, I don't care. Like, I don't care. He could be further left. I think things should be pushed more in the left direction. We're not going to go as far as him. I probably wouldn't support going as far as him. I definitely wouldn't support it. But if he's going to be a force to move the conversation in America, and he's willing to, and by the way, like when you're in these groups, I don't care if he said seize the means of production with his social group of DSA members. I really don't care. If he's going to try to do that as mayor, then I'll speak out against it. But I have not seen anything he's done in government as a General Assembly member to be super alarmed about that. And for, you said Israel, Palestine, or Hamas, he didn't give an opinion on it. It is a really complicated situation. And there's disagreement on it. If you want a permanent occupation of Palestine, if you don't want a permanent occupation of Palestine, you probably would say that you don't know if they should disarm or not, because Hamas is still a governing body of Palestine, even if they do include terrorists that did October 7th. There still is a lot of complication there when it comes to disarming the entire body of Gaza. Pretty much it is complicated. It's not like a cut and dry thing. And you're allowed to take that. You're just like people are allowed to sit, like Randy Fine, a sitting congressman in America, just like he is allowed to say we should be nuking the Middle East and Palestinian children are animals that deserve to be gunned down. Mamdani's allowed to have the opinion that maybe that I don't know, that he could be more pro-Palestine than Israel. I feel like that's he's allowed to have that opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, sure, we have the First Amendment of, having someone allowed to have opinion is different. So the parallel between Trump and Mamdani, let's try to explore that. I mean, it's an interesting, idea, but I think it fails on a lot of different points. I mean, do we have a picture of Trump running for office, arm in arm, with someone wearing a full neo-Nazi regalia, or a Ku Klux Klan guy, arm in arm, wearing a hood and everything.
Funny. It's actually really funny because with Zoran Mamdani versus Trump, Trump is by far closer to terrorists that have done 9/11 when it comes to his relations with Saudi Arabia and now Syria, and like his relationships to former Al Qaeda leaders, with Qatar, which Trump himself called a state funder of terrorism. Like when it comes to Zoran versus Trump is far more connected to Islamic extremists than Mamdani is, which is kind of hilarious, don't you think? Like.
No, I wouldn't say so, because you're talking about state, yes, we don't have an active war right now against the Taliban in Afghanistan, or we're not actually at war with Qatar. And I mean, the Saudis, they killed a lot of Al Qaeda guys because the Saudis were trying to overthrow them. You can always say, well, they should have done a better job, and such. And I'm well aware of the Saudis, but, here's some good news. They recently announced that they're going to get rid of the Khalifa system in Saudi Arabia. So that's something I'm always arguing about with my, with Muslims about that. But I think that Mamdani, he's using, his religious belief as a shield for criticism. People are like, well, you should be criticizing Hamas, and not, focusing on, well, you're saying, well, okay, it's not a big deal. He's campaigning with this guy who said, well, the FBI and the CIA are the real terrorists, the blind sheikh, he was a character witness for them. His kids are in jail for terrorism. Mamdani is clearly campaigning with and getting support from groups of Islamists and communists and Marxists. And that's his.
He also has a lot of Jewish groups in support of him. He has a lot of.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He has a lot of Jewish groups very strongly against him. It was about 650 rabbis point against him. And so Mamdani releases an ad with 3 female rabbis and a guy, a transgender person, saying I'm in favor. This is not mainstream Judaism, either worldwide or even in New York City. Mamdani, he's using, for example, when he said to Cuomo, he said, well, list all the mosques you visited, right? In the debate, you heard this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Cuomo, of course, says, no, I've always been good to the Muslim community and stuff. He could have, Muslims only make about, 9% of New York City? He could have been like, hey, Mamdani, how many, evangelical churches have you been to in New York City? Name all the ones you visited. You think Mamdani could do that? Probably not. Would he be able to list maybe one?
So for Jewish voters in New York,
and they're about 9% too. So it's like, you get my point. In other words, he's using it as a shield.
For Jewish voters in New York City, he got 44% of the vote in the primary.
So what is that? How does that prove anything?
Well, it seems like half of Jewish voters are pro Mamdani and half are against, and only 50% saw a candidate who has said globalized intifada as disqualifying. Only around half.
Well, maybe they didn't realize.
According to the
maybe
Times
they didn't realize at the time. Maybe they didn't realize at the time, and people have voted, against their own interests before. Isn't that one of your positions, that people are always voting against their own interests?
When it comes to this issue, which is so identity focused, they're saying he's using Islam as a shield, which, to be honest, I don't know how the hell you could do that in America. There's open hatred of Muslims in America, unlike any other culture group or identity group or religion.
No, that's not true. That's so not true. In comparison to
there are multiple Congress people right now in U.S. Congress saying radical Islam is taking over America and Muslims should not be allowed to serve in public life. Is there one post from any elected official in America, for U.S. or even for a state, that says the same about Christians or Jews?
Well, Bernie Sanders said that someone with religious beliefs of Christian exclusivism, he said that person should not be in government.
So you're saying Bernie Sanders saying authoritarianism is wrong. So if you say an Islamic state is wrong or a Christian state is wrong, but by the way, you notice how he didn't say. You notice how he didn't. You notice how he did not say being Jewish in America is disqualifying or being Christian is disqualifying just by being Christian or Jewish. Just like, and what I'm saying is, you'll have Randy Fine, you'll have Marjorie Taylor Greene, you'll have all these. You'll have the main advisor to the president, Laura Loomer, who got her NSA chief fired. She is saying, well, all of these people can say openly, Muslims Muslims are disgusting and should be deported and destroyed in America, and Islam is taking over the American government. No elected official in America has said the same about Jews or Christians. Muslims are hated at a level so high in America, you don't even have a comparison. You have to bring up a Bernie Sanders quote where he's talking about something completely different.
Well, let me give you 2 examples.
He's not even a Democrat, by the way.
Okay. We caucuses with him. He's an independent. He's endorsed Mandami. So let me give you the data showing hate crimes. Are hate crimes more commonly against Jews or against Muslims?
I'm talking about in American political life. You cannot.
Oh, I was talking about society. I'm talking about society in general. I thought you were talking about.
I'm not
society.
doing oppression Olympics. I think that both groups are targeted at a very high level. But when it comes to American politics, what I'm saying is you are allowed to openly hate Muslims in a way you cannot do that with any other identity group in America openly.
I think there's plenty of anti-Jewish hate. There's plenty of it. You don't think Nick Fuentes?
Bring up an example. Okay, bring up an example of an elected official. He's a right winger, by the way. But bring up an elected official in America.
Sure. You think? Well, how is he a right winger?
Nick Fuentes. He grew up in conservative politics. He worked for the Daily Wire at one point. He was with all those people. He's still on the right now. He's still a conservative now.
Isn't he a white nationalist though?
Yeah, he's still a conservative.
Well, then that's not a conservative. That's not conservatism.
He's on the right wing. He's on the right wing.
That's collectivism.
Well, you could just like say words that make you emotionally happier, I guess, but he's still on the right wing.
No, I'm just saying. I don't think
he supports Trump.
So if you're is a black nationalist a right winger or a left winger?
A black nationalist is probably a right winger.
Oh, okay. We can call it that if you want to. Right wing or left wing, but
nationalism is usually right wing. It could be left wing too. It depends.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so the example with Bernie though, he was saying, well, if someone thinks that Christianity is true and that Christians go to heaven and then Muslims don't, that's someone who shouldn't be in public office. But that's the traditional belief of Roman Catholics, Eastern Orthodox, evangelical Christians, etc. Yeah, there's some modernist, small, liberal type progressive Christians that don't believe that, but that's the traditional belief. So he was saying a very large percentage of the American population should not serve in government. So I think he should apologize, honestly, for Bernie Sanders. But you're talking about. I originally think you were talking about society. There's way more hate crimes against Jewish people than. Can you
respond? I really don't like how dishonest you're being in this conversation.
Oh, I don't think I'm being dishonest. Tell me where I was being dishonest.
So we have sitting Republican Congress people, again, saying Islam is disgusting, all Muslims are evil, and all Muslims should be eradicated from America, like sitting Congress people, multiple Republicans.
I don't agree with that.
But should they apologize for that?
Sure, of course. Those aren't my claims. I don't run the program.
But if they would have said, do you think Mamdani do you think he's a violent jihadist?
No, I think he's a socialist who's just like in England, some of these socialist guys. It's been a long time thing. Trotskyites in England, they helped. They were all connected to the PLO and stuff. There's been a long time, alliance between Islamists and leftists. Think about the.
You understand how you need to say this whole narrative. No, but you got to tell me this whole backstory here. But the Cuomo campaign is calling him a radical jihadist, a violent terrorist who wants another 9/11. Okay, the Trump campaign is calling him that. Everyone except the further left and maybe Kathy Hochul and maybe Hakeem Jeffries because he needs to be the leader of the party. They're all calling him a radical jihadist terrorist.
I think he's a socialist. I think he's a Muslim, but he's campaigned with Islamist support. So just like when the Ayatollah Khomeini came to power in Iran, he allied with communists and socialists and stuff. It was only after the revolution that he turned against them. So, he's Shiite Muslim. I'm not saying he's a follower of the Ayatollah, etc. I think he's a socialist, okay? But he specifically said that he has long-term communist goals. He's never disavowed that. And I think Marxism is a failed economic idea. The labor theory of value has been debunked. Central planning, the socialist calculation problem, that's been debunked.
Everybody has a utopian vision of the future. Everyone has a vision that might work or might not work. I'd be concerned if he had evil ideas. If he has ideas that are
he does have evil ideas. That's what I'm saying. I think I'm an anti-utopian. So I think he does have evil ideas. If he says,
I believe we need multiple backgrounds. I think we need people like him to push our ideological spectrum broader. being
Do you
someone on
think
the
it'd be better
left.
for the? Do you think grocery stores would be better run by the government?
No, but I'm okay with somebody saying that we're gonna do 5 pilot grocery stores, one in each borough, and if they don't work, he said that we're gonna stop doing them. Like he gave that concession, which I'm okay with, and maybe he doesn't, maybe he does. But yeah, I
Where has
like him
that
making
worked?
that
Where has that
concession.
worked? Where has that worked elsewhere in the country?
Usually in food deserts, they're pretty beneficial. They usually operate as co-ops, especially in farming communities where they have their own market because they don't have like a big grocery store nearby because they can't really, it doesn't turn a big profit. So you're not going to have like a Walmart or a Wegmans nearby. But in in New York City, there could be a food desert,
An independent
hypothetically.
cooperative is different than a government-run grocery store, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying when it comes to not having a profit motive or incentivization, like we can conceptualize a world where there's a food desert and the government says we have to have a grocery store in this area because there's not currently. And right now, the government does coordinate with grocery stores to make sure there's certain food in different areas as well. But I'm okay with pilot programs. And like, let's say the pilot happens and they work and he keeps it, that's fine. If the pilots happen and they don't work and he doesn't keep it, that's fine. Now, if the pilots happen and they're a disaster and he ideologically keeps on doing them, then I will call that out 100%. But I have no issue with him doing a pilot program of 5 grocery stores. He's not nationalizing all of them. He's giving another alternative option provided by the government. Which, by the way, in capitalist countries, a socialist might get power, and their example of what their socialism will be might be, some type of government option instead of the capitalist option. So maybe there's an option provided by them, and the trade unionists and socialists, they might not get full whatever their utopian vision, but they can still be pragmatic actors and do good policies. Regardless. Now, again, like I could be proven right, or I don't even have a strong opinion. I just know what I'll judge them off.
Where has that happened? Like Venezuela. I mean, this was the argument in Venezuela at the time when Chavez came to power. They said, "Hey, he's just trying to make everything better. You know, his friends, the communists, etc. You shouldn't take that seriously." And in other words, I don't trust when people tell me that they hold to communism as a long-term goal. I mean, where is that worked out? And I hear you saying pragmatically, well, that'll never happen. He's just going to be Bernie Sanders. It's not that big a deal.
I
It's
mean,
nothing to worry
FDR was
about.
not far left whatsoever. He was not he was not far left at all. But a lot of his New Deal policies were in collaboration with communists, and trade unionists. So like, I'm not saying that it's going to be and by the way, Venezuela, we're
And how
currently
did FDR do? How did FDR do on the whole human rights thing? Did he put the Japanese
bad.
in concentration camps?
We're talking about policies of the government, though. You're using a lot of identity to try and get
Roosevelt. Oh,
gotchas.
that was Roosevelt's policy. That was Roosevelt's policy.
No,
put the Japanese
but you
in
talk
concentration
about
camps.
yeah, that's terrible. But we're talking about the economic policies. I thought with
Well,
socialism.
no, and you were saying he was working with communists, and they were addressing the human rights issue. You say, well, hey,
Well,
Roosevelt worked with communists.
the human rights issue is because he worked with the Southern racists as well. That was the part that he was doing for them. That's how he had such a big coalition. He worked with the trade union people.
You don't think some of the Islamists? Let me just be honest here. Be honest. I mean, I think you're being honest with your beliefs, but you don't think any. I mean, you're saying Roosevelt worked with racists in the South. I'm well aware of that. So I'm a history nerd. You know what I mean? You probably already figured that out. But Mamdani, you don't think any of his supporters? I mean, he goes to mosque after mosque after mosque, and he literally is like campaigning with people who are like, "Hey, I support the blind sheikh." The guy who he was character witnesses for the 93 World Trade Center bombers, which again 9/11 attacks were to finish the job. The blind sheikh, if you know, he was in 2011. Wajaj, he helped. He wanted to support. He said, "Hey, people need to support Lady Al Qaeda."
Wars are terrible.
He wanted to. You said wars are terrible?
Yeah, wars are terrible, and they have terrible things to happen
to
them.
Wars are terrible. But
now,
no,
with Mamdani, he's already criticized multiple people he took pictures with.
From anti-Semites. He's getting support from anti-Semites. You don't think any of these Islamists are anti-Semites? You say Roosevelt got racist votes.
We could probably,
right?
I'd probably say there's anti-Semites that vote for every politician in America. To be honest, like there's going to be people from that. It's really.
But no, these are open anti-Semites. These are people that are openly anti-Semitic.
Okay, you have the same standard for Trump then, right? Like.
Okay. Let's apply the same standard first, though. Who is Mondami's mentor? The woman that helped run the Women's March, who worked with Farrakhan. You know who Farrakhan, Nation of Islam. They're open anti-Semitic, right? Openly anti-Semitic.
Okay, so when it comes to all these groups right now, when Zoran Mamdani talks to them and then marches in the Pride Parade holding a trans flag, holding hands with trans people, I
well, no,
would
no, here's
probably
the deal. I
say
didn't say he was an Islamist. I didn't say he
you
was
can't.
Islamist.
I can't talk to you. I just can't do it. He's not gonna let me talk. All right, have a good night, guys. I'm tired. It was so slimy, and my computer's lagging still. It's annoying. I'm still getting clipped videos. I've been trying to troubleshoot my computer this whole time too, so I'm getting annoyed because my computer's lagging. My frames are skipping still, and I reset my computer. I reset my computer like 3 times, and it's still effing up. So I'm just gonna give it a break till tomorrow. It sucks. It's so dumb too, because I had good viewership tonight. I had another good stream. We had like 400 viewers, and then it crashed the first time, then it crashed again. Ah, it's annoying. I just can't. I just can't, like, when I said the thing about like there's open hatred of Muslims in America like none other. Like you cannot talk about any group like they talk about Muslims in America. Obviously it's about political. It's like he jumped all over the place on purpose to. It was just a really slammy form of conversation. But I literally cited multiple Republicans who just said Muslims are controlling America, radical Islam must be eliminated, all Muslims should be deported. And I said, give me one example of another person saying, like, you know, saying that. Any elected official. And he brought up, like, Bernie Sanders saying that if you're an authoritarian Christian who believes that other people are damned to hell, then you shouldn't, if you're a fundamentalist, you should not be in government. Like, that is, if he said all Christians are that, then, or I don't know. I think it's pretty clear how stupid that is, because they're claiming every Muslim is a radical jihadist that wants to blow up America. It's just so stupid. It's just so dumb. It's just so dumb, dude. Is Battlefield 6 Battle Royale out? Is that a thing? It is out. Battle Royale. Battlefield. Restart and restart again. No, we'll try again tomorrow. Wait, is it that guy that I was talking to? Which guy was I talking to a second ago? Oh wait, did I message? No, I did. That was painful too, because it's like, hey, we're talking about the economic policy of socialists. Okay. And then it's like, hey, FDR's racist. It's like, okay. That wasn't the conversation, but yeah. Cool. Alright, guys, have a good night. Tonight's stream fell apart because of my computer and my internet. Alright, guys, have a good night, guys. And I'm not even like, I don't even have that much I don't even talk about anti-Israel rhetoric on my channel much. Like I don't want to get banned and demonetized and deported. Like, how would I ever comment on that? I would never take that risk. Alright, have a good night, guys. How is it? Got plates in there? Oh. You're right. I'm gonna like. I do that. I do that a lot after games.